Hey everybody, Matumbo here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we are playing some more Historic here on Magic Arena. And today I think we have a bit of a fun deck for everybody. Again, at first glance, this may look like your typical cheese green build in Historic. But again, I think we're doing things a little bit differently and we're just going to have fun with it. But before we hop into today's video, as always, just want to remind everybody, if you enjoy the video, enjoy the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out all those cool links down below, the Discord, the Patreon, and the Twitch link, since we do a bit of streaming. So yeah, let's hop right into this deck, and we are calling it Nissa's Gateway. So this is again, like I said, you may think it's a cheesy green ramp deck in order to ramp out the big Ugin and Ulamog payoffs, and yes, it is. But we're going to do it in a non-traditional sense. We are going to utilize one of our favorite cards from Dominaria, and that is Thran Temporal Gateway. This is a really cool card. Again, this is kind of piggybacking off of the cheating the Blood Sun or the Lotus Field into play with the Blood Sun and the Tail's End, discontinuity, stuff like that. Same with the Uro. So what else can we do? Well, let's just cheat in all of the crazy big, legendary creatures and see if we can just win the game this way. So Thran Temporal Gateway, 4 mana artifact. It is a legendary artifact, but it says 4 mana tap. You may put a historic permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So a historic permanent, if you're aware or not, it's an artifact, a legendary, or a saga. So we just have a ton of options to go from. So we decided to stick with mono green because green is known for ramp. We can get out the Thran Temporal Gateway pretty quickly, and we can just go crazy from here. So let's just really talk about what we're trying to do. First, obviously, we are trying to put into play all of our big payoffs here. Great Henge, not really so much. We just have some other synergies that go with Great Henge. Great Henge is a 9 mana legendary artifact. It costs X less, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. It does tap for 2 green, you gain 2 life, and whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. So this is kind of a different plan that we're going to be looking at. You could potentially put this into play with the Great Henge if we don't have any other creatures in play. However, this isn't really the payoff that we're looking for. The payoffs that we're looking for are 4 copies of Ugin and 4 copies of Ulamog. So again, Ugin, really busted Planeswalker, 8 mana, colorless, 7 loyalty. We can +2 to bolt. We can -X to remove permanents of that have 1 or more colors based on their converted mana cost. This usually gets a lot of decks to concede or scoops magoops whenever you activate this card against them. I've conceded hundreds of times just when somebody plays this card against me. It's a really powerful Planeswalker. Again, it's a card that I don't think should have made its reprint. It should not be reprinted in M21, and it should definitely not be in Historic either way. But again, it is. And also Ulamog. Again, another card I don't think that should be in Historic, but it is. It's a 10 mana, colorless, 10/10. It's indestructible. Whenever you cast this spell, exile 2 target permanents. So that's actually going to happen regardless if they counter this spell or not. So if you cast this, even if they counter the spell, you still get to exile 2 permanents. And then whenever it attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library. So again, we're really looking to cheat these 2 cards into play, and putting them into play for 4 mana is really good. You don't get the cast trigger whenever you cast a spell, exile 2 permanents when you play Thran Temporal Gateway, but you could put this into play at the end of your opponent's turn and just surprise them with a 10/10 indestructible that's about to mill them for 20. You do typically want to play an Ugin though on your turn and then just immediately start using it. I can't really think of a situation where you would potentially want to put an Ugin in at the end of their turn, but maybe you have one in play already and they kill it on their turn, and then at the end of their turn you just put one into play anyway. So I guess maybe that's the only situation. And then on top of that, we do have Nissa in here, the other namesake card of the deck's name. Kind of a little bit of reiteration there, did not mean to do that. But Nissa, who shakes the world, 5 mana, 5 loyalty Planeswalker. Probably one of the most busted passive Planeswalkers there is. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, you get to add an additional green. You get to +1 it to make 3/3 forests, And then the ultimate, you get to search your deck for all your forests, put them into play, and then all of your lands are indestructible. We're not really worried about that. We're really just, we can ramp Nissa into play, which actually helps us if we don't draw the Thran's Temporal Gateway. We get to actually ramp into these payoffs the following turn, because just having, 4 or 5 forests in play is going to allow us to play any of these because of her mana ramp. But so what else are we doing here? So we obviously have 4 copies of Llanowar Elves because we are playing a green deck. We were trying to ramp. We want to have 4 copies of Llanowar Elves because it is the most mana efficient, busted mana dork on Arena right now. So 4 copies of Llanowar Elves. We do have 4 copies of Ilysian Caryatid, kind of the same thing as Llanowar Elf. However, it adds 1 mana of any color. We don't care about that. We're just adding green. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 mana of any one color instead. So this is not something that we typically care about. However, we do have a little bit of a synergy in here because we do have Steel Leaf Champion. So Steel Leaf Champion is a 3 mana 5/4. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So this does make our Ilysian Caryatid tap for 2 mana because it is a creature with power 4 or more. So that does, have a little bit of synergy there. So it does help ramp in that sense. Also, Steel Leaf Champion also is going to have synergy with the Great Henge because we can turn 1 Llanowar Elf, and then turn 2 we can play Steel Leaf Champion, and then turn 3 when we have access to our 4th mana, we can actually play the Great Henge for 4 mana, because at that point, the Great Henge is going to get -5 casting cost because we have a 5 power creature. So again, that's the synergy that we're playing with the Great Henge. Don't really know if that's, where we should be going, but again, it kind of just helps the ramp aspect, because again, this taps for mana in itself. So then the following turn, we're going to have access to a bunch of mana anyway. We could potentially also, when we cast the Great Henge, this comes down. We can tap it for 2 green. We can play a Caryatid at that point, which is going to tap for 2 mana the following turn. We're going to draw a card and get, gain life off of that. It's going to be a 2/2. It's going to be crazy. And then last but not least, we have 2 cards left we haven't talked about. We have 4 copies of Wall of Blossom. This is a card that I just wanted to try to fit into a deck. I did feel like this might be the deck to try it out in, because if we face against any aggro decks and we're not necessarily getting to where we are, this is going to help us, because it does draw a card when it comes into play. It's going to help dig through our deck for our payoffs, and then it is also going to help block those creatures that they're dropping early on. So hopefully this is a good choice for this deck. And then we do have 2 copies of Heroic Intervention to give our permanents hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So we could potentially prevent our Ugin or Ulamog or Nissa, or even the Thran Temporal Gateway from being removed, when they go to target it. So it is something worth trying out. So this is where we are. This is Nissa's Gateway. So again, hope you enjoy this deck. We're gonna hop into the gameplay and see what happens, and we will see you all at the wrap up. All right, let's see if we can mono green our way to victory. Jinx, what are you doing? Oh. Well, this is a horrible hand. This is a little bit better, but still not great. I think we're going to keep this, right? I think we're going to keep this. Hey, what are you playing over there? Jeskai? A weird Jeskai control deck? Oh, you have Planeswalker? We're just drawing all of the Wall of Blossoms. Perfect. We get to Thran Temporal Gateway next turn. This is where we want to be, right? Thran's Temporal Gateway. Beware the Wall of Blossoms, Jace Mirror Mage. Today? You tell me. I can't answer that question. Oh, right on time, Manadork. Right on time. Alright. Does the gateway live? If the gateway lives, the Ugin happens. Alright. Oh, Wrath of God. Alright. Now we can kill Jace by plussing it. By plussing Ugin. We no longer have to minus. Maybe they Wrath here. Oh, Sarkin. Okay. So we drew all of the Wall of Blossoms. And we are going to -5. Alright, so now we just have to survive until we hit a Ugin or I'm sorry, an Ulamog. Or really anything. Oh, or until our opponent just decides to implode. So, yeah. Oh. Well, let's go. Let's go. Alright, well. You know what happens in game 2? We hydrate. Alright. Let's go. This is an alright hand. Not the best. Not the best. What's on a mulligan? What are these sleeves? Ooh, slivers. Is that 2 mulligans? That's not good. Not good for our opponent. I mean, the okay news is if they kill the Llanowar Elf, which they don't, we just... But this is going to be good. We get to play Nissa next turn. And then we just want to start drawing our big payoffs. Oh, look, there's one. Yeah, this, you can't really go wrong here with, this just adds green, right? Yep. All right, so. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Yeah, I had a feeling our opponent was gonna concede when we cast Ulamog, right? We have become what we hate, and that is the Ulamog Ugin player. But I mean, it comes and goes, right? In waves. All right, next game. All right, let's keep this streak going. Let's keep this streak alive. Oh, we get to go first? Alright. We'll keep this. Not a great hand, but it at least shows that we have a goal to reach, right? We are working towards Ugin. Well, we're not blocking your first striker. Oh, perfect. That's what these are in here for. Oh, okay, well. All of the Ugins. I guess our best draw is a Thran Temporal Gateway here. Oh. Oh, you're no fun. You're no fun. Alright, alright. Jinx, did you find a note on the floor? Oh, we are slowly getting there. That's pretty good. This only ups it by 2, right? So we can still block this. No attacks. So I wonder how they does this. They attack these. Oh, that sucks. I think they can just point these at Nissa, right? Oh, this is a lot of freaking damage.
Not underestimate my I cannot protect you anymore.
Well, I don't think we can beat. I don't think we can beat this hand, right? This is a bad draw. Oh, good game, good game.
Happy as a hellion is go get 'em, buddies.
Yeah, if Nissa would have lived, we would have got there. Did I have fun? I mean, I still had fun. I still had fun. All right, well, on to the next game, guys. No more red. Just want to be one and done with red, but seeing a Sarkin here is not promising. This hand, not too sure on it, right? Yeah, we're definitely gonna keep this. What do we get rid of? I think we just get rid of a forest, unfortunately. I take it back. Give me my forest back. I want my forest back, forest back, forest back, forest back, forest back. Growth spiral. You could just Great Henge next turn. They didn't even have a growth spiral. It's kind of crazy. Oh, that's good. I just don't know what they're playing. Okay, reclaim the wastes? I mean, let's just do this. And present lethal next turn. Okay, so you attack, but you're dead?
Harness the elements.
You act without wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, we bolt that, we get in for lethal. So, alright, well, good game. Yeah, them not having a growth spiral is pretty huge, so these are quick games, you know, regardless of what we're doing, so that's good to know. Sweet, nice game. Yeah, I just don't know if I want to be on the Great Henge plan. And I mean, that's, you know, with building decks like this, it seemed like a good idea. I mean, there is definitely synergy there with being able to slam it down on turn 3. Opponent goes first. I mean, we're going to keep this, right? We do get to slam down a Steel Leaf champion. Could potentially put them off the Karn plan. You know, well, they get to potentially play a Karn and activate it one time. But it's also good because those Guardian Idols cannot block our Steel Leaf champion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need to draw like a Nissa or something. Nissa or bust. Third Guardian Idol, okay. Okay. Yep, because that's a thing that happens often. I do feel like, again, we're going to get Ugin here. So I do feel like the shuffler is broken. I've just been seeing 4-ofs happening way too often.
Some solutions must be built.
I don't know why you would do that, right? What does that do for you? Uh-huh. You can't block it.
Please do not do that.
I think that was a big misplay on their end. All right, we get to Ulamog this turn. Yeah, I think they realized their mistake, right?
Allow me to introduce you to a
So that was a huge misplay on their part, right? Because now they cannot sacrifice this and they can't tap it for mana. Because now that this is a creature, it has summoning sickness, right? So they're not going to be able to get rid of it. So at this point, I think we cast our friend Ulamog, target that. Oh yeah, they're gonna concede. But yeah, that was a misplay on their end. I mean, even if we didn't have Ulamog, I think that was a bad idea. Because again, if we would have had any kind of artifact destruction that mono green is very well known to play, they can't sack it at that point because it's a creature now that has summoning sickness. So, yep. And plus them trying to block with the 2/2s was bad anyway. But, yep. Next game. All right. I think this is game 6. Already 4-1. And again, these games are really, really fast. And that's the one thing that I do like about decks like this, is that you know pretty early on whether or not you're going to win or lose. But I do like, you know, grindy interactive games as well. Yep, hover over that forest and read what it does. All right, so we are... I'd love to draw a Llanowar Elf. Some kind of mana creature here, but we'll draw it off this Wall of Blossoms, right? Oh, no? Okay. They are playing discard. Now we're going to put down a big creature that they have to deal with first. Because this Steel Leaf champion is going to pose a huge threat to them. This is a 4-turn clock. Alright, so we discard. We're going to discard Heroic Intervention. Let them draw another card. It's not going to really do them anything. Alright. Now we have the potential to play Ulamog next turn. Depending on what kind of, you know, hand removal they have. What hand disruption do you have in your hand? Yeah. The worst kind. Tiny bones. Well, you can't block. You can't block here. Oh, you got us real good here. Pretty good. All right, deck. Show us that love. I love it. I love it. So 3, right?
Always consider the consequences.
All right. Now we see what they do. I imagine they probably have played Murderous Rider. Okay. It's a pretty good way to remove an Ugin. Hold up here. Try to get them to go after our hand with a Thought Seize or something.
Make this quick. I'm bored already. I don't think you'll be needing that.
All right. Well, we are on a clock now ourselves, right? I mean, I'm gonna make them continue to use this Davriel.
Empty your mind.
Yep, we are emptying our mind. Not looking good for the home team, folks. I mean, I still get to recast it.
Ooh, sorry.
Play this. I guess they have a removal spell for Nissa right here.
Which cannot protect itself. The land fights for us.
I know you're thinking, oh, maybe you should attack first with the forest, but I just really don't want there to be any in-between time. And that might have been a misplay on our part, but... Another extinction event is pretty good once we activate another forest next turn. We're just going to draw Ugin, right? And just get him. Maybe they activate their castle and take 5. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. That is a main phase Dream Eater. Get us to discard Davriel. Okay. Was that a thought erasure? Okay. We don't take damage from Davriel anymore, though.
Let me pick your brain.
It's worth noting. Well, pretty good. So what's better? Is it better to just bolt the Dream Eater? I think it is.
Strive for balance in all
They have an opt? No. So we, again, potentially have lethal right now. Ugh. Another bounce into a discard. Okay. You got us. Nissa's lethal, though. Oh, no, maybe not. They just have all the answers. Not going to put Ulamog into play right now. Well. What do you have for this, my friend? I mean, if you have something for this as well, more power to you. You have the third Brazen Borrower. Because you cannot block. Ah! We got him. Ooh. Dude, that was a good game. And even though, like I said earlier, this deck, usually you know really quickly whether or not you're going to lose or win. That one was a bit back and forth, and that was a lot of fun. Ooh, good game. Final boss time. All right. Final boss. Still need a animation. Or a voice mod. The Prime Speaker. Now that is a great final boss name. That is a great final boss name. We're going to keep this. We don't have any of our payoffs, but this is going to kind of hide what we're trying to do a little bit. I'm fine with that. Yeah, gain your life. Gain your stupid life gain deck. Oh. This is the... Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Well... Gain all your life. We're just going to wreck our own board next turn. I'm going to block the heck out of something, right? Oh, do we do it? Do we? Yep. YOLO. Everything's dead. And the Prime Speaker has conceded. Yeah. We do wreck our board by playing that, but you know what? It's worth it. A win is a win in my book, right? So, good game. Let's talk about this. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the wrap-up, and we had a lot of fun with this deck. We went 6-1. We had a lot of concessions. We did lose, that one game to mono red, but it happens. But I do like how the deck works. I did actually like the inclusion of the Wall of Blossoms. I do think some cards I would remove. So I'm not really sold on the synergies, but even though I do feel like they were fine, I'm not necessarily sold on the synergies between Steel Leaf Champion, the Great Henge, the Caryatid. While those are great cards in itself, it may not be where we want to, it may just not be where we want to be. So we may, if we were to rebuild this deck in the future, I'm not really sure where we would go right now. We could even look at going even heavier on the Mana Dorks, taking out Wall of Blossoms, taking out the Steel Leaf Champions, just putting in more Mana Dorks, even, taking out the Heroic Interventions, maybe even going with some ley lines, the green ley lines to potentially go crazy. Because, I mean, if you really thought about it, we could potentially cast a Thran Temporal Gateway on turn 2 if we had a couple ley lines in our hand. So, you know, ideally that's, you know, that'd be almost a god draw, but could be worth trying. But again, I'm not 100% sold on it. But I do think this deck has potential. Again, it's really fast. I do think we got some fortunate pairings. So it is, I mean, it is worth trying if you have the cards. And again, I think most people at this point have, you know, Ugins and Ulamogs, probably Great Henges, and then everything else is just rares and uncommons. I feel like the only cards you may not have are going to be the Thran Temporal Gateways and the Steel Leaf Champions, because they are going to be from Dominaria, and some people just were not playing on Arena when Dominaria was standard legal. I don't even know if it was ever standard. Yeah, I think it was. And so they may just not have those specific cards, and they may have to craft them. So again, if you build this deck and you find a better version, I would be all about playing your version of the deck to give it another shot, because this deck to me is a lot of fun. Yeah, again, you're cheesing out people by, you know, ramping out these Ulamogs and Ugins and the cards that people don't want to see. But again, we're doing it a different way. We're doing it with Thran Temporal Gateway instead of just ramping up with Explores and Cultivates and stuff like that, which is going to be what you're typically going to see in a mono green ramp deck that is trying to play Ugins and Ulamogs. And, you know, you're going to also see like Lotus Cobras and Fabled Passages and stuff like that. But you know what? We're not doing that. We're just trying to have fun and play some fun cards in the form of Thran Temporal Gateway in order to cheat out the cards that nobody likes. So that is Nissa's Gateway. If you enjoyed the deck, enjoy the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out all those links below, the Patreon link, the Discord link, and the Twitch link. And yeah, hope you enjoy the deck. Please, everybody, stay safe, stay hydrated, and we will see you next time. Remember, this channel would not exist without such amazing viewers and subscribers. Thank you so much for interacting with the channel and helping grow the community. And a very big special thank you to the Patreons listed here for supporting the channel.